Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Creating Wealth. My name is Marjorie Roman, and as usual, we have the pleasure of learning from Bob Allen. Thank you for coming today.
What shall we learn today? What do you want to learn today? You want to learn how to put more money in your bank account? Create some wealth for yourself? This is what this is called, the Creating Wealth Bobcast, I think is what we call it, right?
It's going to be the
Creating
Bobcast.
Wealth Bobcast. So if that's the case, when you watch and listen, you're going to learn something that you might have never known before. So today, we're going to have a new subject for you.
That's true. We're going to open our minds to the many possibilities that we have within the real estate realm. So we are currently in recessionary times, and most people have fear. Would you say that real estate investment is a really good strategy to use during recessionary times?
It's counterintuitive. What does that mean? It means it goes against what most people think. It's counter most people's intuition about real estate buying because most beginners watch the news, read the news, notice that we may be into a recessionary time. There are some challenges. Interest rates are high. Inflation's, killing us. It's just whenever you read the news, it's not good. And therefore, we assume that means we should pull back and kind of wait till the storm blows over. Well, counterintuitively, the best time to buy real estate is when most people think it's the worst time. And you'll hear me say this over and over again, but the reason I have to say it again is because most people are still afraid. And therefore, they kind of hold back, and they you've watched the traffic on residential real estate has literally catered. It's just gone to maybe times when we're maybe 25 years ago, where the people showing up to look up for real estate because of the news has just gone dramatically lower, and that's good for us. Because that means that all these properties that need to sell, that it takes longer and longer for the sellers to sell. And if they've got an urgent problem, they're going to get more and more flexible. And my strategy is to find highly motivated sellers who have a personal problem, not a property problem, that will force them to take more creative solutions. So these times are creative real estate times. These times are how you buy property with little or no money down. This is when we get the best deals.
That's true.
We get to negotiate the best deals. And you don't need that many deals to, I've told you, if you buy 2 properties a year for 20 years, no, actually for 10 years, you buy 2 properties a year for 10 years, you'll be a multimillionaire. When those properties are paid off, you'll be cash flowing. Just think about it, having 20 properties that you hung on to like crazy and you finally held on to for 25 years. When they're all paid off, 20, just imagine 20 properties rented out for what will be the rents then. Now the normal rent would be $1,500, $2,000 a month. Today, 20 years from now, 25 years from now, maybe it's $5,000 a month.
That's true.
$5,000 a month times 20 properties is $100,000 in, 25 years ago from now money, but still it's cash flow. And what I love about single family home investing is that if you have a personal financial challenge yourself, suppose you had an apartment building that had 20 units in it, or you had 20 single family homes. If you had a financial challenge and you needed to sell an asset in order to raise some quick cash, if you sold your apartment building, it would be that one building that you owned, and it would be everything, right? But if I had a financial challenge and I needed to raise $100,000, maybe say, for example, and I just sell one house. I still got 19 other ones. They're all rented out. I got 19 houses to go. So single family home investing, as I've been talking about for 40 years now, don't you wish, if you've ever been watching or reading any of my books over the last 40 years of my career, if you'd just done what I told you to do 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, There's never been a time over the last 40 years where you couldn't have come out okay in the long run if you just had hung on. I met one of my students the other day who had owned like maybe 30 properties, and then 2008 happened.
Oh, no.
And the value of those properties that he owned dramatically dropped. Now, they were rented. The mortgage payments were covered. It didn't matter what the value of the property was. It could have been zero. He still gets monthly cash flows from every one of those properties. But because of the fear of this catastrophic collapse in the values, he sold out.
Oh, no.
He sold out and took a bath, But truthfully, he didn't have to sell a single one of those properties. People still needed a place to live. Even during major recessions like we may be going into, people need a place to live. They need a roof over their heads, period. End of story. Sometimes governments will pay for, during, using a Section 8 program, the government will pay a big chunk of your rent. So there's usually no real vacancy problem during a recession. Matter of fact, it's just the opposite. During a recession, people who own homes that lose them because of their jobs or whatever, they still need to go rent somewhere. Mm-hmm. Where are they going to rent? Well, they're going to rent at a more modest place. Mm-hmm. And usually when people are coming down from the upper price ranges because they can't afford them now because of recession, they drop down. And people are still wanting to come up and own these modestly priced homes. So there's always demand on the low priced properties. People dropping down, new ones coming up. And therefore, even during recessionary times, it's not that bad. And the rents usually are going up. Why? Because there's more demand for that same type of unit. So it's counterintuitive. Which means, do you want to be rich? Do what rich people do. Rich people don't do what ordinary people do. Ordinary people sit on the sidelines and wait for things to get more clear. Rich people get out in the marketplace right now. You don't need to have the money to look. When I go shopping with my wife, we go and look in the window of Tiffany's, and we could afford anything in the window. We don't usually buy it, but you don't need the money to look in the window of Tiffany's. You just look. So during a time like this, people always tell me, I'm saving up for my down payment.
Oh, no.
Okay. Now, don't do that. That's stupid. Because by the time the recession is over, let's say 2-3 years from now, and you've been saving all your money, and you got 3,000, you got 5,000, you got 10,000, you got 20,000, all good for you, right? During that 3 or 4 year period of time, you've been saving for down payment, cleaning up your credit. Mm-hmm. We're going through a recession, the times, and then when we come out of the recession, guess what's going to happen? Everyone, all the people on the sidelines, you're going to go dump back into the real estate marketplace. You'll be competing with everybody. Prices are going to go up. Your down payment that you thought was going to be enough to buy a home 3 or 4 years from now is not enough.
Right.
So you have to keep saving. Don't save for down payment. Don't save for a down payment. Look for a highly motivated seller who doesn't need your cash, who has a personal problem and needs to get rid of that property. Look for the highly motivated seller and stop saving for a down payment. Don't do it. It's stupid. Stop it.
That's true. And there are highly motivated sellers everywhere. Like literally, one of the properties that is right next to one of mine.
Yes.
Ended up getting a personal problem. So the owner himself, they had to sell the house because one of their family members had a health issue. I remember scheduling an appointment with them to see the house at the end of the week. Before the end of the week, the house was already sold. An investor came and they just got the house. I was like, oh man, I missed out on that opportunity. So opportunities are out there. Yes. They truly are. Problems are always out there. And I feel like one of my mentors actually mentioned that rich people, millionaires, they get made during recessions or crises.
Yes.
So that is totally true. And we can see it nowadays. What are some of the strategies that you would say that we should use when it comes to looking at properties during a recessionary time?
It's always the same. There's no change in strategies. People usually ask me, which strategy should I use? Should I buy? Should I fix and flip? Should I wholesale, which is buying and flipping before you own it? There are 20 different strategies. And I say it doesn't matter which strategy you use. First, find the highly motivated seller. Go for that first. Search, look, shop, look for properties that are off the market. Look for properties that seem to be abandoned and vacant. Find the highly motivated seller first. Then you can figure out what strategy to use. I know that's kind of counterintuitive again, because people say, well, first I need to know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, what you're doing then is to find the highly motivated seller.
Find a highly motivated seller. Yeah, that's the first step. There are 3 fundamentals, skills you need. And you've heard me say this again. You'll hear me say it 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. Find the deal, then fund the deal, then farm the deal. Finding is the hardest part. Mm-hmm. Most people just do it backwards. They fund it first. Then they go get their credit, their down payment, and they borrow some money from their parents or whatever. They fund it first, and then they go try to find the deal. And I'm saying it's just the exact opposite. Find the deal first. Find the highly motivated seller first. Mm-hmm. Then if you can't afford it, which may be the case in many cases, maybe you don't have the down payment. Maybe it is substantially below the market and requires $50,000 in cash that you don't have. Well, since you found the deal, you know what it's going to take to buy it. You can turn it over to. You can just put an ad on the online and say, would you like to buy a property substantially below the market? And if you've tied it up with an offer to buy it, you can flip that piece of paper to somebody else. You could make $50,000 on this one property you don't even own. Mm-hmm. So if you're not looking, you're not going to find the deal, So you have to get no's, if I can be blunt. Most people are afraid to get the no. So I think Sylvester Stallone said in a recent movie series, he says, the answer is always no until you ask. And most people don't ask. Therefore, they'll look online to try to find a deal. They'll go to a realtor and look around a little bit, but they won't take the next step, which is have to write an offer. They write an offer based upon the way they would like to buy it, how they could afford it. The seller is going to accept or reject that. If the seller rejects it, great. You got to know.
It's just a no.
It's a no. It's a no.
Yeah.
If the seller accepts it, great. You got a yes. I call this a results generating activity, RGA, which are my initials, Robert Grand Allen. An RGA is a results generating activity where it means I've made an offer to somebody. If they accept it, then I move forward. If they reject it, at least I got a no. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get a no, you haven't done enough yet. If you've just been looking, reading a book, watching a seminar, even watching this right here, even this podcast right now, what you're listening to is not a results generating activity. This is not what you need to be doing. You need to learn from what I'm going to teach you what to do. Right. And then you have to go do it. You have to go get a no. Mm-hmm. And there's a book called Go for No. I love this book. It's a little 75-page book. Oh. It's called Go for No. And basically they're saying, until you go for the no, you don't have enough information. Mm-hmm. Therefore, most people go for the yes. And as soon as they get a yes, they quit. You need to have a quota of no's every day. You want to get rich, go get 10 no's today. Tomorrow, go get another quota of 10 no's. Mm-hmm. I mean, people are saying no to you. The next day, go get another quota of 10 no's. I can guarantee you by the end of the month, if you're making offers and getting no's, by the end of the month, you'll have a once-in-a-lifetime deal.
That's true.
But it's a shift in your mindset. You're not afraid of the no. You're actually excited about the no. You're looking for the no. You want the no. As soon as you get a no, you go, that was one. Another no. That was two. That was three. You get excited. Great little book. I know the author's awesome little book. Go for No.
That's true. So if anything, thank you so much, Bob, and thank you to our audience. There you have it. Start collecting your no's because one of them is going to turn into a yes, and that could be the deal of your life. We're going to see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.